Hello everyone, today we will be building a kelp farm using the create mod. I'm Uberswe and this is build number 13 of my 30-day create mod challenge series, where I spend no more than one real life day to make each of my builds. Every build only uses the base create mod, no add-ons. This is to make it easy for you to follow along. So let's get started. Now for my build, this is the block palette I will kind of be using. So I'll be using cobbled deep slate for the floor, dark oak planks for a lot of the walls, and then stripped spruce log for some of the detailing on the edges, and then andesite casing and tinted glass to kind of shore up my farm. To begin, I will clear out an area for the layout of our house, which will be built around the kelp farm. It will also include all the machinery needed for processing of the kelp to make dried kelp. I will then use some deep slate and cobbled deep slate for the floor. Now, to build the kelp farm itself, we're going to put a water wheel right here at the bottom, and we can clear out a little bit of dirt just to make it look a little bit nicer here. We'll place some water down there, and as the water goes around the water wheel, it will give it power. Then on top of the water wheel, we're going to go ahead and place a clutch. We'll be able to put a redstone link here in order to turn this off automatically when our storage, which is going to go over there, gets filled up. And on top of our clutch here, we're going to put a mechanical bearing, just like so. And then up here above, we're going to put saws that are going to be too high, and they're going to go out all the way to the side here. Just like that. And basically, I'm going to fill this with dirt, and then we're going to plant kelp on top of that dirt. And we don't want to get the lowest kelp block, which is going to go here. We only want to get the kelp blocks that are higher. And the reason that I have double rows of saws here is that sometimes kelp will grow 2 blocks extra. So like there will be a total of 3 blocks of kelp. And if we have double saws, we get both of the kelp blocks. However, if you only have the lower saw, then you might end up with like floating kelp in your farm. And then up here, up top, we're going to put 2 chests. And we want them facing like this. And then next to that, we're going to put a portable storage interface, and we're going to make it face up like this. And then we can hold shift to place the other one like so. And we'll go ahead and use our wrench to rotate the interface so that it's looking down like this. And now when you have a circular farm like this one, if you put your portable storage interface in the middle like this, then it's always going to be connected and will always be able to output items as it goes around. Then we're going to go ahead and glue our contraption. So we're just going to grab one corner up there and go all the way down to the other corner so that the entire thing is glued. Now, one thing that I just noticed is that we did make a mistake here. So if we right click on our bearing, we'll see that the farm starts. However, it is going the wrong direction. So by stopping it, we can grab some grass blocks here again, and we'll fill this in, and then we'll place the water bucket on this side instead. But now we can see that our kelp farm is actually going the correct way. And then we can right click on the bearing to stop our farm again. Keep in mind that when you stop a contraption like this, it's going to break all the blocks that it interferes with. So if you have built anything there, be careful. And then we're going to place a shaft right here and another shaft there. And we can actually place a third shaft there. So I'm just hitting the side of the shaft here with my hand so that I can place them. But yeah, we're going to remove the shaft that was in the middle there, and we're just going to place our belt here, and we can right click with our belt that we're holding to extend this. And now we're going to place a brass funnel here, which is going to extract the items from the portable storage interface. And now we've kind of built an enclosure here for our kelp farm, and we need to fill this with water, and it needs to be source blocks. And I think one of the easier ways to do this is to use a hose pulley. So we'll just place the hose pulley here on the side, just like so. And we'll make sure to get our wrench so that we can rotate our hose pulley like this. And we can put a hand crank right here. And this will allow us to lower the hose pulley all the way down, or we can raise it all the way up. Right now, we're going to have it all the way up, I believe, because we want to fill this reservoir. And then we're going to connect our pipe just like so. And then we're going to have a pump right there. And then this is going to be powered by a water wheel. So we'll place some water right here. That's our infinite source of water, because this is going to be pulling the middle block here. And because we have 2 water source blocks on either side here, they're automatically going to be generating new source blocks all the time. So that's our infinite water source. And then we just need some power for this pump here. So we can probably make use of this. So we'll dig out a little bit there. And then, okay, maybe that's a little bit Yankee right there. But yeah, we'll dig out a little bit. And there we have flowing water that's powering our water wheel here. And this is temporary. And we just place a cog, and then we'll connect that to our speed controller here. And now with this, we can actually control the speed. And now to connect the speed controller to the pump, we're just going to take a gearbox right here, put a shaft here, another gearbox here. We'll rotate it with our wrench, and then we'll put a cogwheel right here. And now if we right click with a wrench, we can see that water is going into that pipe, and it should be coming out of our hose pulley. I guess I have to lower it 1. So there we go. Now this is going to start filling the inside here. However, it's going very slowly. And I think we can increase this to maybe 128. Can we do faster? 256 is too much. 192? Okay, no. Looks like 128 is probably going to be our max, because that's using, let's see, 512 SU, and a water wheel is going to be generating 512. So that's our max speed right there. And this will, kind of slowly fill up this water reservoir here. And there we go. We're now filled up. As you can see, our hose pulley has actually filled up all the water in our enclosure here. So we can now go ahead and delete this temporary solution that we had here. Now, inside our enclosure, we want to plant some kelp. So just go all the way around and click on every block basically and displace kelp. For this next part, we need our kelp, which is going to come out of here to go somewhere. And I'm thinking we're going to have a belt back here against the wall, which is going to transport our kelp, and then it's going to get roasted to turn into dried kelp. Because dried kelp is something that we need a lot of when we're using the crate mod. So we'll put some chutes here, build it up just like so, and then extend our mechanical belt using another belt all the way like so. So now our kelp is going to come out here. It's going to go on this belt, and then it's going to go down in the chute here onto this belt. Now we're going to need some way to power this belt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an encased chain drive here, and we're just going to go down like this, and it's going to be sitting inside the wall once we build up the wall here. And then I'm going to put a gearbox here, and then another encased chain drive, and this one will face that belt. So we'll be powering this belt here by putting a shaft inside that belt, and then we'll be powering this belt up here. And this is going to go down into the ground. So I'm just going to dig out a little bit here just so we can see what we're doing. But basically, the encased chain drive is going to go down like this. And then we're going to have a gearbox, which we're going to flip up like so. And then we're just going to dig this out, and we'll take a water wheel and place it like so, and then place down some water. And now we can see that our belt up here is moving out, and this belt down here is moving this way. And once we've done that, we're going to put another encased chain drive right here like so, and then we're going to put a gearbox here. We're going to run a shaft all the way down to this side over here, and then we're going to have another encased chain drive here, and then we're going to place a fan right here. You can see right now it's sucking air. So if that is the case, you can just anywhere along the shaft, you can just break the shaft and place another gearbox, and that will reverse the rotation. So now it's blowing air here. And in front of this encased fan, we're just going to put a campfire, and that is going to cook our kelp as it comes up here. We can throw it onto the belt here, and now we should see that it is going to turn into dry kelp. Now, I don't want all our kelp to be dried kelp. I also want to keep some kelp as just regular kelp. So I'm going to put a shaft into the belt here, and then we're going to put another shaft here and a shaft here in order to have 2 belts running in parallel. And now if we put brass tunnels onto the belt here, we can choose to split all the items in different distribution methods. And I'm just going to pick split because I just want half and half. So half is going to be regular kelp that is not going to get dried, and half will be dried kelp. Actually extended this one too long, so we can right click with our wrench to get rid of one. And then I'm going to place a shaft here and a shaft here. We'll need to rotate this one, and then we'll put our belt here, and we'll extend this one more. And then we're going to have an inner belt, and we'll extend it to the same length. And then I'm going to use andesite casing here. I think it looks nice. You could use a cheaper block such as wood planks or something like that. But this is going to hold our chests here. And then we're going to have andesite funnels here, which is going to receive items as they come in. And then to give power to these belts, we're just going to place 2 gearboxes like that. And now items can go down the belts, go and it'll turn and then go into the funnels here into our chests. And now we're basically ready to test our farm. It does run a little bit slow, but this is a farm just for me, so it doesn't need a lot of speed. If you wanted to, you could use a speed controller or cogs to speed up the speed, but it really doesn't need to go that fast if you're not looking to generate thousands of kelp. However, now we can right click our mechanical bearing here in order to try this. And as you can see, it's going to start breaking, and every time it breaks some kelp, it's going to start outputting it here. Now we are going to get some stacks of kelp here, which may not work in our farm because this is not going to work that well on stacks. It might be a little bit too fast, but everything should be working. I think it's going to split, and then we'll probably get one on every belt. So it should be fine. Our first kelp should be coming out at any moment. There we go. So we got 2 stacks of kelp on either side. Let's see if it gets turned into dried kelp. Yeah, there we go. Seems to be working. And then it goes into our chests. Now we have dried kelp here, and then we have regular kelp here. And that's how you make a kelp farm. Now I'm going to go ahead and build up our actual building here and do a little bit of decorating. Then we'll check out the final build. There we go. Now the building for our kelp is done. And as we go inside, you can see our kelp farm is running right here. And then over here on the side, we have our chests, which have the dried kelp and the regular kelp here. And we can see we have our campfire here, which is doing all of the drying of the kelp, and it's just going on the belts here. So we added a bit of decoration. We have the chimney that goes up here, and this is basically left the same. I also added some lanterns in the ceiling to make it look a little bit nicer. And then we have this upstairs area here where I put in a stripped log floor with dark oak and spruce logs. And yeah, I just put some bookcases here, and I place some seats so you can sit here and, look out and enjoy the view as you're monitoring the kelp farm. And then over here we have the continuation of the chimney, so it's going to go all the way up, and some more books back here. And then you can also see where the kelp comes in here, so you can monitor for any kind of issues or anything like that. On the outside of the building, it's a little bit plain here, so I like to just bone meal the grass, and then I get rid of a little bit of this just so that it's not so crowded. So we don't want a bunch of long grass, so I'm kind of getting rid of that, and just going around decorating. Sometimes if it's on a corner of a building, I might leave some long grass just because it kind of makes sense that, nobody's kept there in a while. But generally, just get rid of a little bit of it so that it's not so dense. We want it to look like the house has been kind of maintained. It's not abandoned yet, so we're just going to do a little bit of this. And you also want to make sure that you get all the the open areas so that it doesn't look like you have empty patches or something like that. Here on the outside of the building, I added some sweet berries as decoration for the windows, and I've done that basically on both of the sides here. And on the front here, I've also added some flowering azalea leaves, or azalea. I don't really know how to say that. Please do let me know in the comments down below if you can tell me which is the correct way to say it. I do have the bushy leaves resource pack, so that's what they stick through here. But I've just added some copycat blocks here with dark oak planks as the block for the copycats, and that's what I use for decoration. One thing we're missing for this farm is an automatic shut off. So whenever these chests are getting full, I want these to shut off, and currently the amount of kelp is about the same in both chests. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a threshold switch right here from the outside. We can see right here, we're going to add a threshold switch. So we need this to point towards the chest, just like so. We can open this up a little bit, but basically, if you look at the sides, this thing needs to point to the chest. And when you have it correct, you'll see that there's a little line here. If your chest has items in it, you'll see that this line goes up a little bit, and that's indicating how full the chest is. So if we right click on this, we can see that currently our chest is like, I don't know, 10% full or something like that. And then we can scroll while hovering over on this to kind of increase when it's going to shut off, and then when it's gonna like start moving again. So I like to keep this pretty high so that even if I like get a little bit of kelp, it's gonna like start up again. And right now it's not giving a redstone signal when it's empty, and then when it's full it is gonna give a redstone signal. You could switch and like invert the signal if you wanted to, but we're gonna keep it like this. Create 6.0 has come out as I'm doing this series. I am still on Create 5.0, but on Create 6 this interface works the same way, but it's a little bit easier. So in the new interface, you'll like select the number of items instead. So I think it's a little bit easier, but it basically does the same thing when you're using a threshold switch. And then we'll patch this up, put a block there. And then we're going to put a redstone link here on the back of the threshold switch. By shift clicking, we can place it. And this one is going to be our sender, so we can leave the antenna. For a receiver, you would want the dish there, that little white thing. But for this one, we don't want that dish. Our signal, frequency 1 and frequency 2, I'm just going to set it to kelp because this is the only building that is going to be dealing with kelp, so it makes sense to have that signal. We did add a clutch to our kelp farm in the beginning. So if we go down here, we can see that we can put a redstone signal here, or a redstone link on this clutch. Then we're going to send frequency 1, we're going to set to kelp, and frequency 2, we're also going to set to kelp. And then we need to hit it with a wrench to get that little parabola there, just so we can receive a signal on this side. Now, I also want to set this to only place when anchor is destroyed, because that's going to like prevent our farm from like snapping into place whenever it finishes. It's just going to stop in whichever direction it's facing when we get the signal. Let's right click on our bearing to start up the farm again, and then we can go back over here. If we change this to output a redstone signal while it's not full, now you can see that a redstone signal is being emitted, and if we go over to our farm, we can see that it has stopped moving because it is receiving a redstone signal here, activating the clutch. I am going to turn this back off. That was just for demonstration purposes. When we have a full chest, it will do the same thing. We could put a lever here on the wall because that's directly opposite of our redstone link. So it's also going to generate a redstone signal. So if we wanted to pause our farm now, we could actually give that redstone signal by having a lever on the wall here because it's going to go through the wall. We're going to label this emergency shut off. If we have an emergency, things are overflowing, something's wrong, the factory's on fire, we can just shut it off like so, and our farm will stop. That's all for this video. If you have any questions, make sure to comment down below or join my Discord where you can share a screenshot of your build. I want to give a huge shout out to all my Patreon members who help support me. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. I wish you a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.